Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thanks so much for tuning in here Friday, June 27th. Right now, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. Weird couple days around the national media landscape when discussing Trevor Lawrence. Some things have come up that I think are patently false by multiple big media personalities. One of them being Greg Rosenthal of the NFL Media, who I love his show, NFL Daily. I think he does a great job covering the league. I like him a lot. I'm not going to say that what he said was I'm not going to say that he said anything like based on his opinion necessarily that was wrong. But I think what he shared, probably whoever shared it with him, whether it was one or multiple people, I think they're full of it. And another one, Marcus Whitman, who does a great job on his YouTube channel, That Franchise Guy, and he has like over 100,000 subscribers. It's a huge influence on fans in the NFL landscape, right? Both of them questioning a little bit Trevor Lawrence's work ethic. So we're going to dive into it. And I'll just tell you right now, it pisses me off because it's one thing to question or to say Trevor Lawrence hasn't been very good or good enough or hasn't lived up to expectations or he's not a great quarterback, whatever you want to say. It's an entirely different thing to come out and say some of the things that were said about his work ethic. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I would just say, like, if you haven't watched him work, if you haven't been around this situation, you probably just shouldn't talk about it, honestly. Because I have been there in the building at practice for Trevor Lawrence's entire career. And so we're going to get into it. So we'll start with Greg Rosenthal, who, again, he didn't necessarily say, like, from his vantage point or his opinion that Trevor Lawrence doesn't work hard, but he said, and both of these people referenced this week the pre-draft article that was about Trevor Lawrence that kind of talked about, he has other interests, like football isn't his whole life, anything like that. And I thought that article was taken way out of context at the time and just silly. I think the same thing is happening now, but both of these people referenced that. And then Greg Rosenthal also mentioned that he heard whispers from people that have been around that kind of fall in line with the insinuation that Trevor Lawrence isn't like all in on football. And, he mentioned the Intangibles, Greg Rosenthal did. He also just said, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is very interesting. I wouldn't want to spend an hour in a room with him. It's like, okay. Pretty weird. But that is just so ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence does have a life outside of football. I think everyone does. These are not robots that just play football. These are people. But to insinuate that he isn't putting in the work necessary. And then the final thing Greg said that, bothered me was what's been stopping Trevor Lawrence from taking that step? What's been stopping him? I don't know. Urban Meyer? Doug Peterson running a offense that was great in 2017, but is by modern NFL standards archaic. A lack of talent around him. Receivers dropping the ball at league high clips. Offensive linemen not getting the job done. a complete lack of a running game. No pre-snap motion, very little. Very little play action, bad defenses. And this isn't a show to talk about the on-field play as much as it is the work ethic part of this, because that, again, is what I'm taking issue with. I do think everyone that kind of puts Trevor Lawrence in this bucket where he's not a good quarterback is completely off base. Again, just watch him throughout 2022 when he's healthy and 2023 when he's healthy, and then legitimately go back and watch. Last year I thought there was a 3-week stretch where I thought he played pretty poorly. It was weeks 2 through 4. Cleveland, Buffalo, Houston, 3 really good defenses. Obviously, an offense that was trying to do some new things a little bit, but it was just clearly not working in a lot of ways. I think he played very well against Miami. I think that the rest of the season he mostly played very well. So to me, there was like 3 games where he didn't play winning football. Right? Out of 9, I think. Yeah. So, but the work ethic part of it, the dedication, the intangibles, crazy. And Marcus Whitman said, of that franchise guy, said he thinks that Trevor Lawrence does the bare minimum in a lot of situations when it comes to work ethic. So there's a couple ways to look at this, like practice habits, preparation habits, how much are you working on this outside of the building, etc. Everything I know about Trevor Lawrence and everything I have seen is hard work, dedication. I don't think you get to play at the level that he played at down the stretch in 2022 and for the first 3 quarters of 2023 before he got injured without a very high level of dedication and attention to detail and focus and talent. And then there's the bare minimum, the questioning the intangibles. There are so many moments where Trevor Lawrence has done things that are just incredibly, intangibly rich, as James Gladstone would say. On the field, some of the times where he's put it in on himself, basically making his own read at the line of scrimmage against the Titans to win that game. Y'all remember that? That was awesome. But I love, he's been really good at improving things that he struggled with throughout his career, in my opinion. That shows a level of dedication. I love how willing he is to sacrifice himself, his body, to put his body on the line to help his team win games. Y'all remember in 2023, before the New Orleans game, nobody thought that guy was going to play in that game. Short week, Thursday night football. He goes out, plays very, very well, helps the Jaguars win that game, is the catalyst for the Jaguars winning that game. There's just been so many examples of Trevor Lawrence trying to fight through injury, trying to do everything he can to help his team win. And there's been times when the coaches should have just sat him down and said, look, you're not healthy, right? He is always willing to do everything it takes to win football games. So it's just confounding to me that people are questioning. Maybe it's just that time of year where you want to throw out some crap, see if it sticks, hits the wall, whatever. I think questioning Trevor Lawrence's work ethic is ridiculous. I think saying he does the bare minimum is ridiculous. I think questioning his intangibles is ridiculous. And both of these people that we're kind of referencing here, I do think generally do a lot of hard work. I mean, you Watch the rest of Marcus Whitman's deep dive on the Jaguars, and there's a lot of good, accurate information. But I think when you start questioning people, not the player, not what has happened on the field, etc., but people, and you don't actually know what you're talking about, you don't actually have firsthand knowledge of the situation, that's where you get yourself in trouble. And I strongly urge people to not do that. If anybody's out there that makes their own content that's watching this, I strongly encourage you to not speak on things about people that you do not know about. And that goes for y'all in everyday life as well. Do not talk about someone. Do not say things about someone that you don't know are true. Because it can come back and make you look really silly. It can, especially if you're in the content space, inform other people's opinions in a way that is completely unfactual, far from the truth. Trevor Lawrence works really hard, and he sacrifices a lot, puts his body on the line for the Jacksonville Jaguars and for his team. And I just think questioning the intangibles, the work ethic, all that crap, it's crap. It is BS. And so I'm not here for that. Just wanted to share that, get on my soapbox for a minute because it really kind of pissed me off. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.